Honolulu?
Yeah.
Oh. I stayed, last time I was there, I stayed at the Moana, which is next door. What's the bar there that's super fun in Outrigger? Yes, Duke's.
Okay, folks, we're live on YouTube, so, and your mics are hot.
Good morning, this is Tony. I'm not too sure yet. The good person after that would be.
Good morning, Tony.
Oh.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lorraine.
So we're going back to in-person January 1st, huh? I read the COVID thing.
Yeah, no, it's part of my presentation, and I'll kick a little bit of that over to Dave on that slide for any clarification.
How are you feeling? I hear do you have COVID?
I am told that I do. I don't have any symptoms. I only went and got tested because I came back from the APTA conference that was super packed. And
Yeah.
and so I was going before I went to see my mother, who lives in a residence care facility. I always, if I ever travel or in a situation, I always just get a PCR test. And to my surprise, it came back positive. I had had no symptoms and still had no symptoms to speak of.
Isn't that strange? So
Yeah.
strange.
So,
Nobody can figure it out.
but I'm seeing on my social feeds other folks who are at the APTA conference. You know, as you can imagine, it was a 3,100 person conference, and they didn't have enough seats, so it was
Yep.
standing room only. Anyway,
Well,
I
hope you
had
have
my,
a speedy recovery. Hope you have
Yeah.
a speedy recovery.
I'm recovered as far as I'm concerned, but I still have to stay out of work. I know I got the bivalent. I did all the stuff. I got the bivalent over a week before I went. There you go. Do we have a quorum? I think we have a quorum now with Mr. Labar's arrival. But I don't believe we
I've
have.
been here for a while.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. I just didn't see you. My apologies.
Good morning, this is Tony.
Hi, Tony.
We do not have the chair of this committee is Marianne Carbone. She's not arrived yet. And I do believe
Who's the vice chair?
is
Mr. Emilio.
Joe Emilio, who's not here. He's not here, but he had I believe he had a pre-existing doctor's appointment of some sort, I believe.
Okay.
Because I know he sent an email. So who wants to be chair?
I nominate Tony or Mike. Tony or Mike.
I say Lorraine.
Oh, thanks. Well, I say let's go then. All right. Let's open the committee for the Board Operations Performance Committee. Today is Monday, October 17th. So let's get started. Let me look at my agenda. I like to call this meeting to order. Do we need to do the Pledge of Allegiance? No.
We generally don't for the committee meetings.
Right, I didn't think so. Okay, moving on, public comments on matters not on the agenda. I don't think we have any public comment. Do we have public comment?
Could we have a roll call first?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm moving on too quickly. Roll call, please.
Okay, City of King. Labar,
Present.
City of Carmel Carmel by the City,
Here.
City of Gonzales,
Here,
City of Pacific Grove. Absent. City of Salinas
Here.
and City of Sam. Absent. So we do have a quorum.
okay. Do we have anything on the consent agenda for discussion? approval? Is anyone like to approve the consent agenda? Or discussion?
Move to approve?
Second, Labar.
Okay, was that Tony?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Okay, Tony. And a second from Mike Labar. All those in favor, we need to have a roll call vote.
Barr,
Aye.
Barron,
Yes.
Worthy,
Yes?
Ferrera.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to action items. Item number 4, review of operations performance. Mr. Sidorik.
Thank you, Chair. And Scott, if you would throw up this month's presentation on the screen. And is it there? There we are. Okay, let's jump to the first slide, and we'll talk about our recent activities for the year. The Monterey County transmission rate has been low for the past six weeks, as it was also low in Seattle, but that doesn't necessarily keep everyone safe, as we sometimes find out. To date, through 9/30, MSTs had positive life-to-date cases at 98, MV is at 22. We've not had new cases logged since August 29th, although I think we may have got one in over the weekend. No contacts made with MST passengers are traced back to the MST work environment. It's kind of a standing thing. Whoops. And then we have currently 2 MST employees who remain out of compliance and are in the progressive disciplinary process. Through 9/30, we've had 775 vaccination-free day passes provided to passengers who show us that they've got a new vaccination, and we keep a database to make sure that folks aren't double dipping on that. And another 266 free vaccination rides. Same thing for the MST Rides programs. They get free trips. We hosted, in coordination with VITA, 2 vaccination clinics at the Salinas Mobility Center, and we had 19 people come in and get vaccinated. So that's wasn't bad. And we have, due to the FTA has had us stop tracking and reporting numbers and cases to them directly. So we have disbanded our COVID tracking unit as part of the EOC. Next slide. State and county guidance and federal guidance is still a bit of a mismatch. The state and county relaxed their mask guidance on September 30th, but just last week, the federal government extended the public health emergency through January 11th. Cal OSHA released some rules over the weekend, accepting comment for, I think, the next 15 days for a non-emergency workplace COVID rules. So the state is looking at non-emergency rules. The federal government says we still have an emergency. So as staff, we're figuring it out. We know that the county EOC has been disbanded with regard to the COVID emergency. We're having those discussions here in-house since we haven't had any major surges in a while. But we were really waiting until we see what happens with the Cal OSHA process before we move forward. So within the next 2 weeks, 15 days, we should have some final guidance on that, and that will guide how we respond internally as far as our EOC. Governor signed AB 2449, the teleconference non-emergency meeting rule. There was some reference to that before the meeting. Next slide. Dave, you want to handle this? General Counsel?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm here.
Yeah.
So there are complex rules that have been adopted. The new law takes place on January 1st. And a quorum has to participate in person, open to the public within the agency boundaries. If you have members that do participate remotely, have to disclose just cause and or emergency circumstances that are to be approved by the body. And there are a limited number of teleconference rules, teleconference opportunities for those members. So the bottom line is that after the first of the year, we have to anticipate that the board members will need to attend in person unless there is a very express and approved just cause basis for non-participation, non-personal participation. The remote participation rules continue to apply for the public if you choose to allow remote participation. You do not have to. That's not mandated by law. But at the moment, we do open this to the public and they can participate. One of the complicating factors there is that if there's an internet interruption and you allow remote participation, then you have to discontinue that meeting. Under the old rules and the rules that would apply if you don't have remote participation by the public is that if there is a disruption, you can continue the meeting. So that's something to for the board to consider going forward. And then whether or not mask rules will apply, certainly the FTA mandate. My understanding is that the current rules apply through into January. And what the rules will be after that date are yet to be determined. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. I imagine there's going to be a lot of questions about this, and we'll have the same presentation at the full board meeting. We can either handle questions maybe after I go through the next couple slides and finish the presentation, or we can handle them at the board meeting. Your chair, how would you like to proceed? Do you want me to finish the presentation and take questions afterwards? Or
okay, I would like you to finish the presentation. It's up to the committee if they would like you to answer questions.
okay,
I agree with you. I think we should do it in the general meeting if possible.
and,
for
and
time
right.
purposes.
We'll probably have to, develop some board policies, guidelines in November, December timeframe around this as we know more. This was kind of new information as I was putting this presentation together. So I'll continue. Next slide, please. And so, ridership continues to grow. We actually, at the end of September or mid-September, we were at 80% of our ridership the week before COVID. Now that, that is ridership in September, which is our highest ridership month of the year, compared to a week in March, which is not one of our highest ridership months. It's not one of our lowest, but it certainly is not one of our highest. We have very seasonal ridership and have much higher ridership in the late summer, early fall than any other time of the year. But that is a statistic that a lot of other transit operators are using almost nationally. They're looking at what their ridership was the week before COVID. So we actually hit an 80% mark there, which is that's pretty good. There's an article in your packet that shows that the industry was crowing about hitting, the 70% range. So, ridership is coming back slowly but surely. Cash flow projections, continue. We have substantial cash flow, substantial cash in our accounts, and we see using those for the next year or two as we continue to recover and as our economy continues to recover. And this will help us should we go into a recession next year, as is predicted by most economists at this time. So it'll be nice to have a cushion as the economy contracts and hopefully then starts to expand again at some point. So that completes this month's edition of our COVID update. Any questions?
Chair, this is Labar. I have a question.
Next slide, please, by the way. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell Scott to forward the slide. And then one final slide. And then we're done.
Do you want my question now, Carl?
Sure.
Okay, so if we're moving towards going in person, which is awesome,
Yep.
We have a board rule right now requiring proof of vaccination. I would assume that would be going away since there would be no other option for board members to participate other than live.
I think that's a great question for the board, since that was a board policy, and I think we can bring that back. I think we can raise that question again when I do this presentation in the into the full board, but I think we need to bring all this stuff back in November for
Okay,
action.
because that would also entail either a November or December decision, so it'd be in place for January.
Absolutely.
And
I agree.
And I do want to highlight that the new law regarding the Brown Act should not be considered as an alternate mechanism to participate, as it is very limited. And there's additional requirements as opposed to now. So thank you for that. And I look forward to this. I don't look forward to the discussion, but.
Scott, can you forward through that last slide? There we
Thank you,
go.
Chair.
Yeah, we are. I have a feeling that that's going to be a big discussion today, for sure. Any other questions for Carl regarding this? Okay, moving on then to item number 4.2, receive update. I'm
Chair,
sorry?
I had one more quick question for council. So
Yes.
part of the discussion was remaining with a virtual option for the public.
Mhm.
Is there any way that the internet thing does cause an issue, but I don't know how many times it would. But is there any mechanism that would still allow viewing without triggering that requirement of stopping the meeting?
Yes, you could, and many agencies do broadcast their
Mhm.
meetings without allowing or providing a means for the public to participate interactively other than by phone. And those are the old rules. Those will be the rules going into the future. And if there is an internet disruption, then that doesn't require those bodies to cancel the remainder of the meeting.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Chair.
And just as a point of clarity, we are doing that very thing, streaming this meeting live on YouTube. So people could passively view the meeting and not be on via Zoom. So we would have the ability to do that.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can take down that presentation now and move on with the meeting. There we go.
Right. Okay, item number 4.2, receive update on Salinas Transit Center relocation study. That again is Mr. Sidorik.
Thank you. My update is that I have very little to update, but I keep bringing this back to the board. There have been a couple of meetings. We continue to wait on a document from Taylor Farms. They continue to say that they would like to, they have committed in writing that they will provide a substantial local match to begin a study that is required by MST to consider relocating the Salinas Transit Center at some alternate sites. So it's an alternative site analysis that the Federal Transit Administration requires us to do. We had applied several times for grant funding from Caltrans and were unsuccessful. So Taylor Farms offered to pick up about, I think about 70% of the cost of the study. So with that agreement between the City of Salinas, MST, and Taylor Farms to share in the cost of the study, Taylor Farms indicated that they wanted to see some terms in an agreement with MST. So I was fine with that. I said, have your attorneys or staff draft up what you want to see in an agreement, and I will have our attorneys take a look at it and get back to you. So we have been waiting for the better part of 3 months for that. We had a meeting, Lisa Reinheimer and I and Steve Kerrigan from the city of Salinas, the city manager, and Steve Ish from Taylor Farms. Met again a couple of weeks ago, and we were told that we would have the copy of the agreement in several days. We still do not have it. To quote our former director of maintenance, Richard Burton, we're waiting as fast as we can. So that is our update on the Salinas Transit Center. We're just waiting on Taylor Farms to tell us what it is they want to see, and then we'll review it.
So in other words, the ball is in their court and they're the ones that want to do this. So they, you know, all we have to do is sit there and wait, as far as I'm concerned.
And that's what I'm doing. We have, MST has plenty on our plate. This was not part of our
Right.
capital project or action plan. I think we did work it into the action plan this year because we knew it was coming. But I don't feel it's my role to chase these folks down. If they want to do it, they need to get the information to us.
Agreed. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you, Carl. Okay, moving on. Item number 4.3, receive update on contracted services, rides, taxi, and NEMT. Is Kevin here?
I'm
Here
here.
he comes.
I do have a presentation and there it is. All right. Well, good morning, Chairworthy and board members. My name is Kevin Alshouse. I'm the Contract Services Manager. And I'd just like to thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today. I started this position in August. Previously, I was in the mobility department, working as a mobility specialist and then mobility coordinator. And I'd like to talk to you today, provide an overview of some of the district's contracted services and discuss some of the challenges and opportunities that these services provide. Next slide, please. All right. One of our longest running partnerships is with MV Transportation, who operates MST Rides, our paratransit program. In addition to paratransit, MV Transportation also provides some on-calls. They provide our on-call services in South County as well as in Marina. And then they also operate a special transportation program that provides out of county transportation to medical offices in Santa Clara and Santa Clara and San Francisco counties. Today, I'll be focusing on MST Rides, a program that MV Transportation has been operating for close to 20 years over the span of several different contracts, the most recent of which ended in June 30th of this year. And their current contract started July 1st, and that's a 5-year contract with two-year extensions for the possibility of two 2-year extensions. Ridership for rides has been steadily increasing over the last year or so, with an approximate about a 10%, almost 11% increase year over year. We anticipate further increases as customers become more comfortable traveling on paratransit, but understand that it's probably going to take some time to get back to the pre-pandemic levels of ridership. A significant number of the trips are subscription trips to dialysis and various daycare programs such as La Casa Adult Daycare Program or Daycare Center, which is here in Salinas. And while these trips present operational challenges, they also present the opportunity for MST and MV to demonstrate to the community our ability to transport a lot of customers in a safe and efficient manner. In terms of challenges, there have been some ongoing driver and administrative staffing issues at MV, which is a common theme across the transportation industry. Pay raises and hiring bonuses at the beginning of the year help to close some of those gaps, but there can continue to be several important administrative openings that need to be filled, such as dispatch supervisor and general manager. And there's not a lot of wiggle room when it comes to driver scheduling. Very sadly, the previous GM, Doug Thompson, who was in the position for approximately 3 years, passed away suddenly last month. This tremendous loss has been tough on staff, but MV Transportation has responded by assigning a few additional administrative staff to help support the local division. They're working diligently to fill the GM position and have promoted their operations manager to interim GM during this transition. As part of the RFP for the new contract, MST required that the contractor adopt an intelligent transportation system that, among other things, provides web-based access to reservation and trip status, increased efficiencies through real-time scheduling and dispatching, and also it has an interactive IVR, which stands for interactive voice response, which provides customers with a reminder call the night before their scheduled trip, as well as an imminent arrival call the day of their trip, which is typically received about 10 to 15 minutes prior to their vehicle's arrival. The chosen software under the current contract is called EcoLane. The software and accompanying hardware provides customers, dispatchers, schedulers, and coach operators with a suite of features to increase efficiency and customer satisfaction. As with any transition to a new technology, there have been challenges. One of the benefits of the software is that it improves on productivity by transporting more customers on fewer buses. But with that increased efficiency, we're finding that customers are staying on the bus for longer than they had been used to under the previous software. So there's a real balance that we're trying to find between, efficiency and customer experience. Prior to the implementation of the new software, MST sought feedback from some local transportation peers in Santa Cruz Metro and Gold Coast Transit District, both of whom use EcoLane. They similarly had some issues with service delivery at the beginning of adoption, but they both expressed that they're very glad that they made the switch to the new software, and that they're enjoying the benefits that the software provides. In addition to some of the operational challenges brought on by the transition to EcoLane, there have been some reporting challenges as well. MV has brought in some outside help to assist in getting MSG reporting and invoicing that the contract requires, and are working closely with EcoLane to tailor reports to MST's expectation. Next slide, please. So this is just a slide of ridership, and if you can kind of just focus on the top slide, that's the monthly trips, and you can see that big downward trend that was from the pandemic, of course, and we've sort of been slowly gaining ridership, and the last year or so we've seen some pretty good increases in overall. The trend is above the average. Next slide, please. MV Transportation continues to contract with Yellow Cab to provide rides transportation to many of their ambulatory customers. Yellow Cab is performing approximately 15 to 2,000 trips per month, and many clients report that they enjoy being transported in a taxi. The taxi industry at large in Monterey County is still recovering from the pandemic. There are currently 8 permitted companies in the Monterey County Regional Taxi Authority, employing 76 drivers and 82 vehicles. Prior to the pandemic, that number was north of 100. So, we're still not quite recovered there in the taxi industry in Monterey County. The Monterey Regional Taxi Authority recently permitted Checker Cab, so that's the eighth company that's been permitted. And they have several accessible taxis in their fleet. They're hoping originally to bring about 5 to 6 accessible taxis into Monterey County. They're currently working on getting 2 permitted. as they've also seen some challenges with the number of drivers that they have. They've also seen increased business with their NEMT program that they provide service for. So currently focused on getting 2 drivers permitted with accessible taxis, which will help increase the number of accessible taxis in Curry County. And Yellow Cab has also expressed an interest in purchasing a few wheelchair accessible taxis. Accessible taxis are very expensive to purchase and maintain, and so some jurisdictions have supported their use by subsidizing or creating incentives to purchase these vehicles. And in fact, MST purchased 10 accessible taxis about 10 years ago, in 2012, I believe, through a grant, and leased those accessible taxis back to the local taxi companies. And that was great for a time, and increased the number of accessible taxis in the county. But the details of that grant required, it was quite onerous on the companies, because there were a lot of very stringent maintenance requirements that some of the companies found difficult to adhere to. And also the company that manufactured the vehicles, MV1, is no longer in business. So finding parts for those vehicles has become very difficult. And unfortunately, none of the 10 accessible taxis that the MST purchased 10 years ago are still in the county. Next slide, please. Approximately 1 year ago, MST began working with Trinova, a consultant with knowledge and expertise in non-emergency medical transportation, to develop a program for MST. Non-emergency medical transportation costs are subsidized by Medi-Cal. And in order to use NEMT, clients must first get a prescription from their doctor authorizing specific trips. This could be for dialysis, physical therapy, mental health care appointments, etc. And the client takes that prescription to, in this case, it's Central Coast Alliance for Health, which is the managed care provider for Medi-Cal in the Tri-County area. And they act as a transportation broker that requests the transportation on behalf of their client. Many of the NEMT clients are ride clients, rides clients, and they're already in our system. Those who are not currently ride clients are provided with a 30-day provisional certification, which allows them to receive their NEMT trip, which is performed by MB Transportation. If those clients with a provisional certification wish to continue using the service, they must go through the certification process with MST's mobility department. In late September, we started providing 2 NEMT trips per day, and recently increased that to 4 trips per day. So far, feedback from CCAH, or Central Coast Alliance for Health, has been very positive, and we look forward to continuing this partnership with them and Trinova. Trinova has been will handle the billing services for the contract, which requires that they submit claims for eligible trips and monitor the status of those claims, investigate, amend, and resubmit any denied, unpaid, or underpaid claims. And then they regularly provide MST with billing data for our accounting purposes. For this service, Trinova receives 5% of total reimbursements. Next slide, please. And then finally, I'd like to provide an update on our security contract with Allied Universal. We started this contract with Allied a little over 2 years ago, and are very satisfied with the job that they've done. Prior to this contract, there were several incidents at Salinas Transit Center late at night and in the early morning hours, including a small trash fire which burned a small part of an MST structure. Since the contract with Allied Universal, there have been no major incidents at Salinas Transit Center during the late and early morning hours. The contractor provides foot patrol 7 days a week at Salinas Transit Center and 6 days a week at the Marina Transit Exchange. And they also provide a mobile patrol for the hours of 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. at Salinas Transit Center, as well as a few mobile patrol hits at the Marina Transit Exchange to ensure that our facilities are safe when no foot patrol is present. And overall, we received very positive feedback from customers who appreciate the presence of the guards at our facilities, as well as the way the guards helped implement the mask mandate when that was in place during the height of the pandemic. One of the guards at the Marina Transit Exchange recently witnessed an individual loading bullets into a magazine. He was able to successfully intervene and retrieve the magazine and also a pocket knife. Upon notification of MST's comm center, PD was dispatched, and they were able to locate the individual and arrest them. And the individual had prior felonies on their record, so the guards' quick action could have prevented much worse. Next slide. And that is it. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
Kevin, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
On the non-emergency medical transportation, you said that you had 2 on 9/19 and 4 on 10/3. Do you know where they came from? Did they come from Monterey? Did they come from South County? Did they come from Salinas? Do you have any?
Yeah, so all of the trips that we're dispatching for NEMT are for clients that live in Monterey County. And I've most of the trips so far have been in Salinas. There have been some outside of Salinas as well, but all in Monterey County.
Well, okay. Thank you. And then the other question I had was regarding the security. You said that they're provided the service. Is it all day, or how long are the security there? Are they there 24 hours a day?
They're not there 24 hours a day. I mean, there's coverage in the sense that so during the day, for instance, Salinas Transit Center, they're there from 8 to 5, and then no, 8, excuse me. At Salinas Transit Center, there's a foot patrol from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., there's a mobile patrol that comes each hour and just checks to make sure everything's good and that there's, nothing going on. And so that's how that works.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Well, thank you. Thank you very much for that presentation, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right. Our last item is item number 4.4, receive report on Better Bus Network implementation. And this is from Michelle. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Acting Chair and committee members. Michelle Overmeyer, I'm the Director of Planning and Innovation. In February of this year, you'll recall that the full board approved the comprehensive operational analysis, which is an entire bus system redesign. Many agencies review their systems every 5 to 10 years to make sure the system is still meeting the community's needs. The last time that MST undertook such an effort was in the 1990s. So you can imagine that this is a huge effort for us right now to take this planning document that was approved by your board earlier this year and make it into reality. And comprehensive operational analysis doesn't exactly roll off your tongue. So we have branded this the Better Bus Network. And there's a number of steps that have to be taken before this plan goes into action. So MST's risk and safety staff are reviewing the new routing and bus stop locations. We've attended and will be attending the different city traffic advisory committee meetings and city council meetings for approval of new bus stop locations. The fare boxes and contactless fare payment system equipment needs to be reprogrammed to reflect the new fare structure. The coach operators need to become familiar with the new routing and the new fare structure. Many of the bus routes will have new names and numbers. So the signs on the buses need to change, and the signage at the bus stops themselves need to be updated. Bus stop poles, benches, and trash cans will need to be installed or removed. And then the public needs to become aware of the changes that are coming and when to expect those changes. So this is a major cross-departmental collaboration. And in order for the Better Bus Network to roll out in December, we've been working tirelessly over the last several months. You'll start to see the public information roll out next month in November. Updated maps will be on MST's website. An online trip planning tool is being tested right now. We're in the testing phase of that. So once it's finalized, our riders can go online and they can enter the origin and destination of their trips, and it'll compare what they're doing today versus what the Better Bus Network is going to be in December. So this gives the public an opportunity to see how their trip will change. If there's a new route number they need to be aware of, and whether their new trip will require a transfer. Using a state cap and trade grant, MFT will be offering free fares for the first week of the Better Bus Network. This will help our existing riders learn the new system without worrying about the cost. And it will also be a nice promotion to invite some new riders to give MST a try. So in closing, I just want to reiterate that this is an all hands on deck project here with MST staff. I want to thank all the MST staff that have been in numerous meetings over the last several months. And the next 6 to 8 weeks are really going to be crunch time for us as we're getting this ready to roll out for December. And as committee members and board members, you all are the transit advocates for your cities. So I encourage you to get the word out once we start having the public information ready next month. So that is it, and I can answer any questions you have.
Michelle, I have a question. When will you come to the city council meetings so that you can make your presentations? Have you figured that out yet?
You know, at this point, we don't have plans to visit every city council for this information.
Okay.
I don't know if we have the staff bandwidth to do that. I can talk internally with the team here, but we will have information that will be sent to the board members, and you can share
Okay.
at your council meetings.
Okay, that's great. Just because I know there's going to be some big changes, especially down here. And, you know, what is the best way that we can get that information out to the public? And I know that we're making some changes down here too, and adding some things. So I just want to make sure that we're ready for all that. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I didn't say anything. I'm sorry. I think
Oh, okay.
background noise
Okay.
in the hall.
Okay,
But yeah,
all right.
we'll get you information as soon as it is ready, the maps, the trip planning tool, and press release.
Okay, very good. That way we can get it out to our residents as soon as possible. You know, a lot of our residents don't use social media. So that is an issue that we have to deal with. So we are going to need to have something written so that we can send it out perhaps in our utility bills, just to get people going. And we'll start talking to people, but you know, it's a difficult thing and making sure everything is translated into Spanish is really important.
Definitely. We had a number of stakeholder meetings throughout the planning process for this, and we have all of those contacts. So our marketing department will be working with those community organizations to help us get the word out also.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
And, Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
So especially, you know, addressing your concerns on the South County cities, you know, we're still waiting for the Better Bus Network. Some of the changes that would have gone into effect in the South County cities. Still waiting approval on some of those bus stop issues. So not all of the cities in South County will be having those changes occur in December. They'll be occurring as those cities are ready. So it may be premature in the South County cities to discuss that, because we still don't know exactly where the bus stops are going to be in the South County cities. Is that accurate, Michelle?
King City is ready to go, and they will be ready in December when the Better Bus Network rolls out, and we are a little behind in the other 3 cities.
Yeah. And I know that it's an issue that I've been discussing, but currently we are very understaffed, as you all know.
And that has had impact, and we've had, it's by no means was that my comment meant to,
No.
and Patrick, especially from Gonzalez, has been in contact regularly with MSD staff. And we know you went through a transition, and we are working with all the South County cities just to go through each of their processes. And King City made it happen, so good on them. And the rest of the cities will get on board as well at their pace.
Great, thank you
Uh,
both for being so patient. It's been challenging, to say the
Absolutely.
least.
These are challenging times.
Yes, they are. All right, thank you, Michelle. Any other questions for staff?
Yes, Sarah, this is Labar. I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. So King City is going through their general plan update, and we're fortunate to work with a planning laboratory from Cal Poly of graduate students. One of those components is mobility and transportation. I've asked them to contact you because we are on our Better Bus Network time of change. So could I get the appropriate person to hand to the professor for contact?
Yes, you can certainly get it from me. I'll reach out to you after the meeting. How's that?
No, the MST contact.
Oh, the MST contact, sorry. Oh, Michelle.
That'd be me.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to it. So this is a big deal. And I will tell you, for what I've been talking to, like the blue zones people, and the importance of the circulars within our smaller communities, making it even more walkable and livable. This is a big thing for our agency. And we really should try to, as we go over the implementation, you get your data, is highlight how we're getting more people out and about. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question or comment? Okay, thank you, Michelle. All right. The next item is closed session, which I don't think we have anything for closed session at this time. Do I have someone, shall we adjourn? Yep, I say we adjourn. Thank you
Thank you.
all. See you.
See you in 15.